Okay, so I'm going to do a few techniques with this wood, and I thought video was easier to show you. These are my hands and gloves. It always keeps it neat. The first one is, I've made this up, so I don't know if this is called anything or if it's even recommended. The first thing I do is I wet the entire board with water. So it soaks that in first. And what I've learned that yields is, if you look up here, it's the lightest finishes. So if I soak them with water first, I don't soak them, I just brush them with water, and then add stain, it's a lot lighter than, say, this one would be, which was not wet first. So, and you can see that some of my stain comes off because it's on my brush and I'm not using a clean brush, but that's okay, there's no real science to it. So here I am with my gloved hand soaking this. Okay, so then I dip into my ebony stain. I just get a little bit on the tip, you don't need too much. And I sort of, looks like ink, I just brush that over the water. What it does is all the places that we sort of beat up the wood will soak it in really well. Any knots in it will soak it in really well, and all those dents will grab it. So it will turn out sort of varied in tone. The areas that just soaked up the water will be lighter, but like for example here looks darker, here looks darker, just because we might have beaten up the wood in that part. And this looks really dark when I'm putting on, but it's just sort of washing over the water and not soaking in very much, so we'll get some varied effect. So now I take my rag and I wipe the wood, and that's where you get to really see what soaked in and what came up. So that's the technique of getting the lighter tone, which we think looks a lot like the palette. This is the palette that's been outside for a million years, pre-dinosaur. And this is it with the range of colors that we've done. So now I'm going to do something that's a little bit more like this one. Let me grab my... Okay, so this time I'm not going to water it down. Not very technical. I'm just slathering on the ebony stain. And it's, of course, soaking it up a lot more readily, so it's going to be much darker than the one I soaked with water. And you can see I'm using a really cheap brush because the stain always tends to ruin my good ones. So this is like $1 brush that I'll use for all the beams. And I think $1 is good money spent to get them all colored. So now I'm going to wipe this off. And you'll see that it gets lighter, but it doesn't get as light as the one that absorbed the water. So this is going to create a really cool, sort of mixed and matched, reclaimed look, because it will just look less perfect, which is what we're going for when they're all together. So you can see how that one sort of plays off the lighter one next to it. Oh yeah, that's my glove. And makes for like a range of colors and stains. So there you go.